all of you are familiar with it. You've been using, I guess, what is version less than 1 of the boards. And today we're going to release version 1. So I want to say a little bit about, along with Billy, what's in the new version. First, I mean, metaboards come a long way. So James Clift wrote the first version. There have been contributions from Ethan, from Ben, from JPack. Maybe there's nobody else. I can't remember anybody else. Correct me if I've missed somebody. But over the last many months, Billy has been working very hard on it, and it's grown into a really serious piece of work, I think. So before, I mean, it started as a very sort of hacky system. It has many bugs. Many of you have run into those bugs. So I want to make a few categories of changes that have happened in Metaboard version 1. And I'll start with, I guess, what's my first category? Broken before, now fixed. How's that?
My least favorite category is the inverse of that.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about those. That's in MetaUniDev. What's said in MetaUniDev stays in MetaUniDev. Now fixed.
Oh, the sun's rising.
Yeah. Good morning. Now fixed, right? The sun has risen. Everything is good. Okay. So chief among those is redo and undo with multiple users. So Billy gave a really nice talk a few weeks ago in this seminar. So I won't get into the details of this. You can go back and watch him explain it very clearly. Yeah, this is really a lot laggier than it was last night. Not sure why. That explains why my letters are not perfect. So if multiple people are using the boards, that is writing on the boards at the same time, or even if there's just one user, this issues with redo, undo, and erase still happen. If you undo and redo, different users will see different contents on the board. And this, we've run into this a few times in MAG lectures. It's disrupted a few seminars. It's a very, it can be a small issue, but it's actually kind of serious in the sense that it breaks the sense that this is a real board that you're working on, right? And it's fixing this is one of the key reasons for the architectural changes in Metaboard version 1. You see me leaning over like a weirdo. That's because I'm looking at notes on my desk. Erasing was...
The goal is no one should ever like have the mental thought or like ask, wait, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like that shouldn't be like a sub process that you're trying to like check on. You should just know that what you're seeing is what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Okay, so those seem like the major ones. Are there any other ones we should list under broken before, now fixed?
Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up to correctness, basically.
Okay, so my other category is going to be improved. I mean, if you've been following the discussion in MetaUniDev or come to any of the code seminars where we've discussed this before, you'll know that there are a lot of changes under the hood that aren't very clear from the surface level. And that'll become more clear in my next category, which is enables, right? So what we can do in the future using what we now have in the system. So under this, I'm going to put UI as the main thing. So Billy has systematically redone the UI. It's now using ROACT. So let's see, what's undo? There we go. It's now done in ROACT. It's more beautiful. If you click on these boards, you'll see the new toolbar. It's more adaptive. Different tools can have different sub-elements within the toolbar, and it's just overall a better system for the UI. I mean, by improved here, I mean kind of user visible things. There are lots of improved things under the hood. Is there anything else user visible you want to highlight, Billy?
No, not at the moment.
Yeah, okay. And here is my final category. I'll put enables. So these are things that are already in progress, some of them quite close to completion, which will make a big difference in how we use the boards around MetaUni. And here, this is a, I mean, given that we're going into a new version and there will be bugs and some performance issues we have to iron out and so on, this is tempting fate a little bit to write this one, I guess. But I think it is fair to put this as one of the things that over the long term we'll get out of the new version, and that is reliable performance. So in addition to rewriting a lot of the systems, Billy has done a lot of benchmarking work, and Ethan has helped out a lot with that as well. So reliable performance, not only when you're writing, but also having more boards in the world. So memory usage, tracking that, optimizing it, and so on. Faster board loading, I guess that could go under the first category, but you may have noticed that when you come into TRS, it's slow. If you're the first one in, that's because the server has to load all the boards from the data store. That's the database in Roblox. It has to render them as parts. It takes a while, takes several minutes if there's many boards around. And in the meantime, portals are a bit janky. Lots of stuff doesn't really work properly. And that whole system should, in principle, be able to be improved quite a bit with the new boards. That's still work in progress. And finally, I'll put here many more boards. So Billy has been working on a system that we'll hopefully be testing over coming weeks, where you only are using memory for the boards that are around you. Like these boards here, you'd see all the details on them, but there's maybe 20 boards further into the mountain that you can't see, and they wouldn't be taking up memory in your iPad or on your computer. And that means that we can stick hundreds of boards in a world and sort of never run out of boards, or at least feel like you're never going to run out of boards. And that will make a big difference to how MetaUni feels, I think. All right. And I suppose completely new, maybe that could go under improved. Well, let's put new here. New. And technically, this is much more superficial than the other things, but it's kind of snazzy. So that's why we're demoing it today, is the new VR support. All right, so I've got a tool in my hand. When the tip of this chalk touches the board, there's a stroke. I actually think it's quite hypnotic to watch somebody draw with a pen. I think it's pretty cool. So I think that's mostly what I want to say, and then I'll open up for questions. I do want to emphasize that the system is now conceptually much more sensible than it used to be, and it's a very good foundation for what we're going to do going forward. So I'm really very grateful to Billy for doing all the hard work on this, and if you want to join with me in a round of virtual applause, I think that's appropriate. So thanks a lot, Billy. Jump, 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 you losers. Jump.
Yay.
Clap, jump. There we go. Yeah, up in the air. Yeah. Anything further you want to say, Billy?
I guess on the topic of things it enables, like a main unifying theme of that enables a lot of this that I don't know if you highlighted yet is like the the basis of how metaboard v0 works is that uh, the the board itself uh, is the parts that appear in the workspace, like it is the instances. Whereas in the new version, it's very it's simplified Lua data, so it's like just in tables, and that kind of enables you to sort of see the board on demand in like very different contexts. Like if you want to see it like in the workspace or in a GUI, like there's you can sort of see the same data but rendered in different ways. Whereas I think with the old version, we were sort of taking one rendered version of that data and trying to sort of clone it and like adapt it, like convert it into something else, which is kind of makes for like it's possible in principle to like uh to make you be able to see uh the board like in a like but rendered in a different way, but it takes a lot longer with the old version.
Does this mean boards will have to be smaller now? Yeah, in VR, that's right. It makes much more sense to have the board smaller, which means reliance on the orb is a lot heavier. This is something we're going to have to experiment with. I think it works okay with transparency and using through the orb, but it definitely means that if you don't use the orb, it now looks a bit crowded and hard to see. So hard to read the text when you're moving around. Stay still, Matt, so I can read. It's fine if you zoom into your head too. Yeah, I think it's okay. It also means we can use a lot more boards in the same space. I think there's no particular reason the boards were as big as they are in, say, TRS. It's just because that looks kind of natural from the point of view of the sort of 3D camera, third person. Yeah, Phoebe? Board stacked vertically. Are you kidding me? How am I going to reach that? A flying hover platform. Yeah, okay. I could also throw up. I'll have to look under that text bubble to see the other one. Are you supposed to be transparent so we can see through you? I should be. You don't see me as transparent? Stopped working again?
I can see you transparent.
Yeah, I'm transparent. Yeah. Oh, okay. My bad then. There must be a bug. Yeah, that's one way to fix it.
Can you reach the top of this board? Is that how you sort of designed it?
Yeah, I can. It's sort of okay. This is me stretched out.
Almost.
It's not that comfortable. Yeah, I'm still working on the sizes. I think it depends on your height as well, right? I mean, and how you set it up. You can shift your position.
So Dan, are you actually writing on a board on your end or just the air?
I'm just writing in the air. Yeah. At first, I thought it would be very strange, right? Because you tend to lean into the board and use it to control the motion. But I think it's like writing on a tablet for the first time, where you feel like this is terrible. Paper is so much better. I can't do this without the friction. Glass. Who wants to write on glass? This is bad. And then, after a few months, you just forget that you ever had an issue with it. Up here, that's as high as I can reach, Phoebe. I've only been doing this for 1 day, 2 days. There's some tactile feedback, the haptics, when your pen goes into the board, when the chalk goes into the board, that helps to sort of get a feel for where the board plane is. And so I think with a bit of experimentation like that and some practice, I think I'm already starting to feel like this is as long as the performance is good. So as long as the headset is running smoothly and the computer is fine, that makes a big difference. So right now it's a little bit janky, so I don't feel like it's really awesome. But
Weird. Wow, you teleported.
Yeah.
So what's the brand of your headset? I mean your VR set.
Oh, this is an Oculus Quest.
All right. So if I wanted to buy one, how much is it?
These are like 400 to 500 Australian, but I think they're 200 to 300 US.
Dude, that's actually not bad.
Yeah, they're not expensive anymore.
They used to be more.
Yeah, they were a lot more. They were thousands. Yeah, there's really been a big shift in prices on the headsets. So this is what I'm using, and it's plugged into, well, not plugged into, but via what's called AirLink. This is connecting to a Windows PC. At the moment, that's necessary because Roblox runs on here and communicates. I mean, the Oculus Quest 2 does run standalone. You can run games on it without being connected to a PC. But it's basically a phone. So of course, phones can run Roblox, but to run it in VR, you need to generate 2 copies of the image at high resolution at a high frame rate. And I'm not sure if the Oculus Quest 2 is sufficiently powerful to do that. We may see a standalone client for Roblox on the Oculus Quest 2. There's rumors about that, but I don't know if that's what compromises will be necessary there. So at the moment, it's running on a PC. So you need both the PC with a decent GPU and the Oculus Quest 2 and connect them together. So at the moment, it's kind of a bit of an effort to get in here in VR. But the headsets are going to improve very rapidly over the next several years. I think very soon it will be quite convenient. So that's why we're starting to work on it now.
Cool. Is there a reason why you're using Windows and not your Mac?
Oh, the software doesn't run on the Mac currently.
Oh, okay. So that is the reason, right? Okay.
Yeah, Oculus. The Oculus software doesn't run on the Mac. Supposedly, Apple's going to release their own headset shortly. So.
Oh, okay, got it.
I was wondering if we could talk through briefly a scenario with VR presenting. So you've opted to make the board smaller, but could you outline I think in a previous version you sort of had like a smaller board
right.
with like a larger board subscribed to it.
Right. Yeah.
What do you see as like the cons to doing that in terms of presenting?
Yeah, so Billy's referring to the earlier idea was that we would have, when we were sticking with large boards, so that's metaboard 1, and then the idea was you'd come up as a VR presenter and stick down your personal board, perhaps, or some other kind of small board, and you would write on that. So that was a kind of natural size for you in VR, and then your strokes would be mirrored to the bigger board, and that would be convenient for lots of people to stand in front of and watch. That was before OrbCam, and the thought there was that, well, if you had all these people, if they were crowded around this tiny board, they wouldn't be able to see anything. And then you'd have people in VR jockeying for position and jumping on people's heads, which seems kind of pretty stupid to do in a virtual space. So that was the thought there. And then we started using OrbCam, and then it's sort of, given that most people tend to watch the lectures in OrbCam anyway, it doesn't really seem like such a big deal to have native sort of size for a VR person, and then have the audience, with their halos on. I can see there's benefits to this model, I guess, so maybe we can experiment with both. Make the scribe larger. Yeah, that makes sense. I could get in large when I'm writing on the board. That would be pretty straightforward, I guess.
I wonder though, there's a sort of given this board, like the size of text that you're writing, how would that compare to writing on your iPad? Like, do you think you would fit the same amount per board, or?
It's different. This is more like a real board. On a real board, I write much less content than on a virtual board. Hey, Kenneth, get back. You're in the way of the OrbCam.
There's one con to number one.
Yeah, Phoebe just asked if we're going to do something about getting in the way of the OrbCam. Yeah, I guess that's, I don't know what to do about that exactly. You lose health if you're obscuring.
You could kind of extend this, generalize this feature where you're transparent when you're in front of them.
Oh yeah, well, actually I like that.
Maybe instead of just being when you're holding the pen you're transparent, it's like when the client is in OrbCam, they make any of the characters in front of the board that they see transparent on their end. Or maybe the server does it. I guess that doesn't really matter. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good solution. I think there was another. Sorry.
anyone goes like fully transparent, but the speaker goes like semi-transparent, like you are.
Yeah, I think the transparency is a little bit buggy at the moment. So when I come back from being transparent, maybe you can see me now. I'm not transparent. You can.
Oh, yeah,
my
I noticed that.
my guts are kind of incorrect. My gears. What happened to my gears?
Oh, no.
So I'll just stay transparent forever now.
Wow.
Yeah. Any more
We've got-
comments on this?
I was just going to say we got 5 minutes before the half-hour time
Oh, yeah.
slot, just by the way.
Oh, this is awesome, man.
Yeah, it's actually really cool to see you guys in 3D rather than staring at the iPad. I think it's quite interesting.
Have you experimented? I feel like this would just not work very well, but like putting a physical board in front of you in real life, like at the same spot where that virtual board is.
Yeah, I did try that actually. I did it with I have some portable whiteboards at home. The tricky thing there is aligning yourself in 3D correctly with this teleporting thing so that it actually lines up with the physical world. But this is solvable, right? So we could write code so that I was discussing with Billy the other day. So what I'm doing is I hold the controller in my hand and I press the thumbstick and a little kind of trajectory comes out, a parabolic arc. And where that hits the ground, if I let go of the thumbstick, is where I teleport to. This is a standard method of getting around in VR. We could have this snap to certain locations and orientations in front of the board so that when I do this, it'll snap to one of 3 positions at the board, say here, and I'll be exactly at the same orientation every time. So then I can line myself up in my office in front of my real board and snap to that position, and it will match up perfectly with the physical board. This should be doable. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, OrbCam should do something a bit smarter when the speaker moves rapidly. That's true. Yeah, these are good suggestions, but it's hard for me to write them down like I usually do. So can somebody keep some notes of these?
Cool. Thanks, Ethan.
So Dan, is there a way for you to see the chat when you're in VR mode?
No, I can see the bubbles above your head. I can access the chat, I
Oh,
believe.
Right.
Yeah, actually, the interface, I mean, Roblox, the VR support is a bit broken. I mean, it's only just become possible for me to activate the voice chat because I can't really access the 2D menus. So I can get to the developer console and I think to the chat, but I'm not sure. Maybe I can't even get to the chat. So if the bubble disappears above your head, I can't see it anymore.
I see.
Okay, shall we wrap up this first half, Billy? Are there any final comments you want to make?
Nothing from me.
Cool.
But
Okay, I think we'll move over to the next.
This.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks to you and to everybody who got everything to the state it's in now. Somebody did the integral. Yeah, well done. Very good.
That was me.
Okay, let's go to the next set of boards and I'll start this little talk.